Todd Dunn here on November 17, 2019. This is the third video in my solar battery backup power series. Today I'm going to put the solar panels on the roof. And that's going to involve several steps. First thing I have to do is feed the extension wires for them down through the conduit. And then I have to get a couple panels up on the roof and start the install. So let's look at what exactly I'm working with. These are the first two solar panels. These are 170 watt 12 volt panels. Now I bought these for a couple of reasons. First, they're much smaller than the really big panels, and since I'm working alone, hucking a 3 by 6 foot panel up onto the roof would be really difficult, especially since the big ones weigh 45 pounds or so. And these weigh a little under 30 pounds. They're 2 foot 2 by 58 inches, so they should be pretty easy to get up on the roof. I'll just slide them up my ladder once I get it set up. And I'm going to wire 6 panels like this in series. So they'll have an open circuit voltage of about 132 volts, and that power will go down through my conduit here via extension wires. I'm using 8-gauge wires for the extensions, which should be able to handle the voltage and the amperage. Because these will be in series, the amperage will only be about 9.5 amps, so that'll be fine. And well, basically that's it. So now I have to start getting ready. The first thing I'm going to do is feed wire through the conduit. This is conduit that I installed yesterday that goes from up on the roof, down, across the front of the house, below the deck, through the wall, into the garage, and I'll be feeding wire down in there. I'm going to start though just by feeding wire down the first vertical section. I've got breaks at each corner, so I don't have to go around a corner. So I'll be able to feed about 10 feet of wire down through here and get the appropriate length left on the deck, and that should do it. So I'll be going up on the ladder to where the conduit comes out and starting to feed wire down. And that's going to be a relatively simple job. Once I finish getting the wire up there, I'm going to take the solar panels up and start the install. Anyway, that's where I am right now, and let's get going. Just an aside, you can see my assistant over there. She's very curious about what I'm doing, and I'm going to have to put her inside before I start, because the last thing I want is for her to climb up the ladder and go onto the roof, because I think it would be a real problem to get her off the roof. Now today is Sunday, and it's relatively warm. It's in the low 30s. It's not windy, which is important for putting these big panels up. And up there you can see the rails that the panels are going to be mounted on. I put those up on Friday, 2 days ago. It was warmer, up around 40 degrees, but it was quite windy. We were getting gusts up into the 30-mile-per-hour range. However, the brackets and rails don't have a lot of windage, so it wasn't that difficult to put those up, but there was no way I was going to put panels up there. And yesterday I ran the conduit and fed the ground wire through, which is a 6-gauge solid copper wire, and boy, that thing was difficult to feed through the conduit because it's so stiff. Anyway, let's get going and get the lead wires for the solar panels down through the conduit. I've got 50 feet of wire to feed down through these conduits. Okay, I've got the ladder set up. I'm ready to go up and start feeding cable down through the conduit. And so that's the first step. But before I do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about safety. Now, right now, let me move the camera and show you a few things. Up there at the edge of the roof, I have the ladder tied off to one of the brackets for the gutter. Those are fairly sturdy brackets, and they'll hold the ladder up there without any issues. And because I'm going to be working up high, when I actually go on the roof, I have to step on the ladder above the edge of the roof. And to prevent the ladder from popping out, I have screwed a 2x4 down to the deck here and put a couple of eye bolts in it and tied the bottom of the ladder to the eye bolts. So basically it's not going to move. So that's a fundamental aspect of safety. You don't want your ladder to fall down while you're on the roof or even just working on the ladder. Here's the next aspect of safety. While I'm up there on the roof, after I finish feeding the wires through, which I will be doing just from the ladder, I'm going to put on a harness with a line on it, which I will wrap around the upper rail up there to provide me with a little bit of fall prevention. Now that rail may not look super sturdy, but it is attached to the roof with lag bolts that are 8 inches long that go through the roof and down into the roof joists. And they're 3/8 inch lag bolts. So that rail up there is really quite sturdy. And I'll tie off at one of the attachment points so that I've got maximum strength. So that'll provide me with some extra safety. So that's my safety precautions. Ladder tied off, and I'll wear a harness and tie off to a hard point up on the roof, which should make it a lot safer. I don't know that I want to fall on this harness. This, as you might guess, is just one of my inflatable life vests off my boat, but it has a built-in harness, so it's going to do the job. I don't have an actual climbing harness, but hopefully it will work. So that's my safety precautions. Now I'm going to go up and start feeding the red and black cables up there down through the conduit. I need to have about 8 feet of cable up on the roof, and I have 50 feet of cable there in each color, so that means I have about 42 feet of cable to feed down through the conduits. I'm just going to do the first section, which is 10 feet 2 inches long, that goes down through the roof and through the deck to a junction box just below the bottom of my deck. So that way I don't want to spend too much time on that before I put the panels up, because I can do that pretty much at any time, but I can only put the panels up when I've got daylight and it's relatively warm. So let's get going. Okay, that cable is down to the junction box. Now we'll feed the second one down. That one's bound up. Different spot. Okay, I'm going to go pull these cables through from the bottom so I can feed them through a little more easily. All right, finally got the cables through. The second one was a little tight, had to use some dish soap. Now, the hard part, actually physically getting the panels onto the roof. What I'm going to do by kind of using the ladder as a guide. So I get up there. Oh no. Okay, there's the first panel up. I think what I'm going to do is mount it and then put the second one up. Okay, time to go up on the roof and put that first solar panel on. I've got all the tools and everything that I need. Okay, there we go. Safety line on. Now let's start moving this panel down to where it needs to go. The trick here is not to lose control of it. Great. Now I have to move my ladder again. Oh well, I was going to do that anyway. So, time to move that. Well, I managed to get 2 panels on. I still have to go up and retighten the connectors on the left end, but I'm ready to go with the 3rd panel. This is a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but so far it hasn't been too bad. So anyway, we'll get going up there on the next panel. Well, it's done. It's a little bit after 4. It's starting to get dark, but I got it done. All of them are up and everything is tight and ready to go, which is good because it's supposed to rain really hard for the next couple of days. So that took me about 4.5 hours, including pulling the wire, which isn't quite finished. I still have to go downstairs and feed it into the house. Right now it's lying on my patio, but I want to get it into the inside before it rains. So that's that. 6 solar panels, 1,020 watts of solar on my roof. And as soon as I get some batteries, it'll be ready to charge. Well, now that the solar panels are on the roof, the rest of the work, once I get the wires fed through the conduit and into the house, is inside the house. I was working against weather on these, and I did have surgery just under 4 weeks ago, and I had to wait to start this project until the surgeon that did the surgery gave me a clearance for normal activities, because I didn't want to crawl up on the roof with a big 6-inch slice in my lower abdomen and cause myself issues. So that delayed it, and consequently I've been working against time because it is starting to get cold. It never got much above 29 degrees yesterday while I was putting the conduit in, and today was in the middle 30s, but it wasn't windy, which made putting the panels up a whole lot easier. I'm sorry I didn't shoot much video of the actual install. The reason I didn't do that is I was, as I said, running against time today. It is just now sunset, and I finished about 10 minutes ago. And I really didn't want to be on the roof trying to put solar panels on in the dark, and they needed to be finished today because we're going to have about an inch of rain tomorrow and tomorrow night, and I didn't want a partial array up there with open connectors. So that's it. The solar is on my roof. The next projects are to install the solar charge controller, set up the battery bank, and then install the inverter. I've delayed on the battery bank and the inverter because those are the big expenses in this project. Batteries and the inverter are going to cost over $3,000, and I've been kind of dragging my feet a little bit about spending that money. But now that the solar is on the roof, got to do it. So that's it for this third video in my solar battery backup power system installation series. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, so that you will get notifications of when I start building the battery bank, installing the solar charge controller, putting the inverter in, and also installing all of the circuit breakers, fuses, and wiring associated with that. Thanks for watching.